The snow had been falling since midnight. By morning, the small mountain town of Silverpine looked like something from a dream. White rooftops, frozen roads, pine trees covered in snow, and tiny golden lights glowing through apartment windows. But for 26-year-old Emma Parker, it was the loneliest place in the world. She had come to Silverpine to escape a broken engagement. 3 days earlier, she had discovered that the man she was supposed to marry had been secretly seeing someone else. Emma hadn't screamed. She hadn't begged. She had simply packed one suitcase, booked the first train ticket she could find, and left the city. Now she stood outside a small mountain cafe, holding a cup of hot chocolate between both hands. Her eyes were tired. Her heart was even more tired. She whispered to herself, maybe some places are meant to be left behind. Just then, a snowball hit her shoulder. Emma froze. Slowly, she turned around. A handsome young man stood several feet away, looking completely shocked. He was wearing a dark winter coat, a gray scarf, and snow-covered boots. "I'm sorry," he said. Emma stared at him. "You just threw a snowball at me." "I was aiming at my brother." She looked behind him. There was nobody there. Emma raised an eyebrow. "Your brother must be invisible." The man looked around awkwardly. "Okay, that makes this worse." For the first time in days, Emma laughed. The man's expression softened. "I'm Daniel." "Emma, I know." Her smile disappeared. "You know me." Daniel suddenly looked nervous. "No. I mean, I heard the cafe owner call your name." Emma studied him. "Right." Daniel smiled. "Can I make it up to you?" "How?" "Hot chocolate. My treat." Emma looked at her cup. "I'm already holding one." Daniel looked at it. "Then, another hot chocolate?" She laughed again. "You're terrible at this. I've been told." They walked into the cafe together. Neither of them knew that this awkward meeting would change both their lives. Over the next few days, Emma kept running into Daniel. At the cafe, at the little bookstore, near the frozen lake, even on the hiking trail outside town. It started to feel suspicious. One afternoon, Emma finally confronted him. "Do you follow me?" Daniel looked offended. "What? No, you were at the cafe when I arrived. Because I work there sometimes. You were at the bookstore. I own it." Emma blinked. "You own the bookstore?" Daniel nodded. "And the cafe?" "No." She smiled. "Good. Why?" "Because if you owned that too, I'd have to accuse you of stalking me." Daniel laughed. Their friendship grew quickly. They spent evenings walking through snowy streets. They drank coffee beside the fireplace. They argued about movies. They competed over who could build the better snowman. Daniel always lost, mostly because Emma cheated. One evening, they sat beside the frozen lake. Snowflakes fell silently around them. Emma looked at the ice. "I used to think love was supposed to feel certain." Daniel looked at her. "What happened?" "My fiancé cheated on me." Daniel's expression changed. "I'm sorry. He said he loved me." "Maybe he did." Emma looked at him. "Then why did he hurt me?" Daniel was silent for a moment. "Sometimes people say they love you because they like the feeling of being loved." Emma looked down. "And you?" Daniel smiled faintly. "I think real love is different." "How?" "It doesn't make promises every 5 minutes." He looked at her. "It just stays." Emma didn't answer. But something inside her changed. Weeks passed. Emma began smiling again. She stopped checking her phone. She stopped thinking about her ex, and without realizing it, she started looking for Daniel whenever she entered a room. Then one night, a terrible snowstorm hit Silverpine. The roads closed. Power went out across parts of the town. Emma was trapped inside the bookstore with Daniel. Only one small fireplace kept them warm. Emma wrapped herself in a blanket. "This is officially the worst vacation I've ever taken." Daniel smiled. "Really? My engagement ended." "Fair point." She laughed. Then the lights flickered. Emma looked toward the windows. "Daniel, I know." The storm was getting worse. Suddenly they heard a loud crash outside. Daniel stood up. What was that? They looked through the window. A large tree had fallen across the road. The entire street was buried under snow. Emma whispered, "We're completely trapped." Daniel turned toward her. "Then I guess you're stuck with me." Emma smiled. "I've survived worse." They sat beside the fireplace for hours. They talked about their childhoods, their dreams, their fears. Eventually Emma asked, "Why do you live here?" Daniel looked into the fire. "My parents owned this bookstore." "Owned?" "They passed away 3 years ago." Emma's smile faded. "I'm sorry. They loved this town." He paused. "I stayed because leaving felt like losing them twice." Emma reached for his hand. Daniel looked at her. Neither spoke. Outside, snow continued to fall. Inside, something warmer began. But the next morning, everything changed. Emma woke up alone. Daniel was gone. On the table was a small envelope with her name on it. Her heart sank. She opened it. Inside was a train ticket, one way, to New York, and a short note. Emma, you deserve a life bigger than this town. Don't let me become another reason you stay somewhere you don't belong. Daniel. Emma stared at the note. She didn't understand. Had he never felt the same way? Had she imagined everything? She packed her suitcase. For the first time since arriving in Silverpine, she cried. She left the bookstore and headed toward the train station. But just before boarding, she noticed something strange. The ticket wasn't for today. It was for 2 weeks later. Emma frowned. Then she remembered Daniel's words. You deserve a life bigger than this town. Something didn't feel right. She turned around. Instead of getting on the train, she ran back toward the bookstore. When she arrived, the door was locked. She knocked. No answer. Then she saw a small note taped to the window. Lake. Emma's heart raced. She ran through the snow. When she reached the frozen lake, she saw Daniel standing alone. He turned around. You came. Emma was furious. You left me a train ticket. Daniel nodded. I did. You disappeared. I had to. Why? Daniel took a deep breath. Because your ex called me. Emma froze. What? He found out where you were. Daniel pulled out his phone. He said he wanted you back. Emma stared at him. And you believed him? No. Then why did you leave? Daniel looked away. Because I was afraid. Of what? That you were only choosing me because he hurt you. Emma stepped closer. I didn't choose you because he hurt me. Daniel looked at her. I chose you because you made me laugh when I thought I had forgotten how. His eyes filled with emotion. You made this town feel like home. Emma's voice softened. And you? Daniel smiled. I fell in love with you somewhere between the snowball and the hot chocolate. Emma laughed through her tears. You threw a snowball at me. The best mistake I've ever made. She stepped closer. Daniel, he looked at her. I don't need someone to save me. I know. I don't need someone to fix my past. I know. I just need someone who stays. Daniel smiled. I'm staying. They stood together as snow fell around them. But there was still one secret Daniel hadn't told her. A few days later, Emma discovered it. She walked into the bookstore and saw an old photograph behind the counter. It was Daniel's parents. Standing beside them was Emma's father. She stared at the photograph. Daniel walked in. He immediately stopped. You found it. Why is my father in this picture? Daniel was silent. Emma's heart began racing. Daniel? He finally spoke. Your father was my parents' closest friend. Emma stared at him. He knew you? He knew me before you ever did. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't know how. Daniel took out an old letter. Your father helped my parents open this bookstore 30 years ago. Emma read the letter. Then she noticed the date. It was written shortly before her father's death. The final line said, if our children ever meet, I hope they remind each other that love is worth believing in. Emma looked up. Tears filled her eyes. Did our parents know we'd meet? Daniel smiled. No. He took her hand. But maybe some stories begin long before we know we're part of them. Months later, Emma decided not to return to New York. Not because she was running away from her past, because she had finally found something worth staying for. She opened a small photography studio above Daniel's bookstore. Every morning, she would walk downstairs, and Daniel would already be waiting with 2 cups of coffee. One snowy morning, Emma looked outside. Do you remember the first day we met? Daniel smiled. You mean when I attacked you with a snowball? Yes, I still think it was romantic. It was terrible. You laughed. Emma smiled. I did. Daniel looked at her. And now? She reached for his hand. Now I think it was the beginning. Outside, snow began falling again, softly, quietly, just like the day she arrived. But this time, Emma wasn't alone. She had come to the snow looking for a place to forget her heartbreak. Instead, she found a reason to believe in love again. And sometimes, the greatest love stories don't begin with fireworks. Sometimes, they begin with a snowball and a stranger who decides to stay.